Located in central Arkansas, named after Mr. Roswell Beebe, after 32 citizens had signed and submitted a petition to the state, Beebe was incorporated on May 4, 1875. Along the railroad is the Abington Homestead, which was constructed in 1880 during the railroad era. William Thomas Abington designed the house himself for his wife and 3 children. Before they moved to Beebe, they lived 4 miles west of Des Arc in Prairie County in a little box house where his 3 children were born. In 1877, they moved to Beebe. They moved there for the school system. Not long after construction, William Thomas died from a bullet wound to the chest while serving in the Confederate Army. Eugene H. Abington, better known as Doc, is the grandson of E.H., who he is named after.
They bought this acreage and then it had to be cleared. It wasn't cleared. It was all forest land. He was hiring a man to come over here to clear the land. He was giving him $5 an acre. And let's see, he wanted 10 acres cleared.
The original property was 80 acres. W.H. and E.H. Abington, the sons of William Thomas, donated 27 acres of their land to the Beebe Junior College, which is known today as ASU Beebe. In honor of their generosity, the library was named Abington Library. W.H. Abington owned Beebe's only hospital. The building was located where Fisher's Rental is now. W.H. was a senator, and in 1929 he was the House Speaker. His brother E.H. was a local doctor. He founded the Citizens Bank in Beebe in 1917. The bank was located where Wilbur D. Mills is now. Doc began working at the bank when he was 14, but didn't start full-time until 1962.
We grew from less than $1 million that I can remember, and when we sold it is around 50 million. When I went to college, I had 4 summers in there, three month, basically a year's banking experience before I went to college. And I could take the bank and balance the whole day's transaction.
The First Security Bank in Beebe still has one of the original vaults.
I've opened that thing thousands of times. But that was made out of manganese steel. And when they went to the round vault instead of the square vaults, you see square vaults. When Jesse James, and I just got through reading some on him, they could blow the square vaults. They could get dynamite, but whenever the round bell type vault came, they couldn't blow the doors off of them.
In the summer of 1960, Doc wrote an essay in his Arkansas folklore class titled My Grandfather Dr. E.H. Abington and Abington Homestead, which is now located in the University of Arkansas Special Collection Library. He had no idea his essay was in the archives. In the essay, he told many stories, some that he himself had experienced and others his grandfather had passed down to him. In the early days, there were quite a few members of a certain holiness church in this country. They did not believe in doctors. When one of the members would get sick, they would all gather at the sick one's house and have a big prayer meeting. One of the members got extremely sick, and her husband finally decided to call the doctor. When I arrived, there were a group of members in the yard. One of the old ladies asked me,
Doctor, when everyone gets to be a member of our church, just what are you going to do to make a living?
I answered her,
Lady, I'm going to become a holiness preacher and make my living a hell of a lot easier than I am now.
Then I proceeded on in the house. The beauty of this historical site is so intriguing and so distracting that many fail to notice another only a few hundred feet from it.
The construction of it is different than construction of today. It is solid wood on the inside. Each room is planked. It's rough lumber.
Doc was kind enough to share the original bills with me from the late 1800s. These bills showed the cost of lumber and other items used for the house.
Instead of going one floor and have studs and then have studs going to the second floor, at each window frame, it would be a 4x4 running from the sill that these logs were on all the way to the second roof. We know this, that there was some remodeling when my father moved out there in 1958. He had some windows transformed or put together, and that's when they found out that these 4x4s ran from the sill all the way to the second story. So he didn't want to disturb that, so whenever he framed those windows back up, he put two 2x4s together.
One of the most noteworthy features of the house is the original walnut staircases that were shipped from St. Louis.
There is another back stairs that goes up to one of the bedrooms. And why they have two stairs is you had potties at night. You didn't have restrooms, and you had potty chambers that you would use. Therefore, that you didn't have to carry it down the main stairs every time you come down the back stairs. And unfortunately, there's a crossing right past the house, and then you have the Main Street crossing uptown. And those whistles will start blowing both ways and blow all the way through. So if you live out there, it takes about a month to be able to get a night's sleep, to get used to the trains. My bedroom was upstairs, and whenever the train started coming through, it'd get louder, and it'd get louder, and it'd get louder, and think, well, and then the windows began to rattle and shake. And you think, that thing done derailed, it's going to come through my window.
Just across the street and across the tracks, there's this old abandoned building that many see and do not think much of. But between the years 1944 and 1956, the Abingtons would watch kids walk over to this one-room colored schoolhouse. Much like the building itself, the history is fading away, and in 2010 it was added to Arkansas's 9 in Need list. After they stopped using the building as a school, it was used as a church.
So we would sit out there on that porch, and this is some of the times when I got to hear some of the stories directly from him, that we'd be sitting out there and they would be having church service. And boy, you've never heard some gospel singing that you ever heard in your life.
When trying to find the history of this historical site, I was unable to find anyone who attended the school who is still living. There are around 20 Abington family members who are buried in the old Beebe Cemetery. The back half of the cemetery used to be designated for African Americans. Both sites have very different stories and backgrounds. They're both beautiful and very important sites to help define both Beebe's and Arkansas's history and growth. The question that still remains is, what was life like on the other side of the tracks? One by one on earth, lives are broken, and hopes so fondly cherished, broken but to pass about. One by one our hopes grew brighter, as we near the shine on a shore, for we know across the river had loved ones gone before. In loving remembrance of W.T. Abington.